So I'm just as frustrated, maybe not as frustrated as the families that have lost their loved ones, but it pisses me off that I can't give you answers or can't get you answers. So, like I said, I don't owe any allegiance to anybody. I'm termed out as mayor when I get through, and I don't want to seek political office again. So I don't owe any of these elected officials not a damn thing.
New allegations coming out of Uvalde, Texas are pretty damning for the cops, which might explain why the Uvalde Police Department has been so reluctant to cooperate with investigators. I'm Yasmin Khan with Rebel HQ, and in the tragedy that keeps getting worse, new revelations from the Texas DPS director allege that officers on the scene could have stopped the Robb Elementary shooter within just 3 minutes had it not been for the quote-unquote abject failure of then school police chief and current city council member Pete Arredondo. Director McCraw claims that Arredondo, quote, decided to place the lives of officers before the lives of children. Earlier this month, however, Arredondo made a rare public appearance to insist that he and his team could not have done any more than they did, to refute Director McCraw's assertion that he was the one in charge that day, and to paint himself as a hero taking on the role of a first responder in an effort to, quote, stop the shooter or die trying.
The Uvalde school police chief and his attorney telling the Texas Tribune he was committed to stop the shooter or die trying, running into Robb Elementary armed with his Glock service pistol and no body armor. He
said he decided to go in as a first responder instead of running point on the operation, and he assumed someone else would have just stepped up to manage the situation while he was off doing something else. In other words, at least according to him, he was a hero, not a negligent and ineffective police chief. And this is critical because it's being reported that a lack of clear and decisive leadership was to blame for the failed police response. McCraw states that Arredondo could have transferred his command to another agency, but he never did. This is the same guy who took an oath of office as a city council member days after the shooting. He's gone full politician, and his lack of accountability around his failures this day are just par for the course. But speaking of local politicians, the mayor of Uvalde is over all of everything, and he wants everyone to know. At a special city council meeting called in part to discuss whether or not Arredondo should be allowed to keep his seat on the council, McLaughlin started naming names.
So I'm just as frustrated, maybe not as frustrated as the families that have lost their loved ones, but it pisses me off that I can't give you answers or can't get you answers. So, like I said, I don't owe any allegiance to anybody. I'm termed out as mayor when I get through, and I don't want to seek political office again. So I don't owe any of these elected officials not a damn thing.
Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin is unimpressed with Texas DPS Director McCraw, claiming that state officials have blocked his office from information regarding their investigation and that he had been urged to keep quiet until their investigation was over. However, McLaughlin claims that McCraw's office deliberately leaked footage from the day of the shooting in an effort to pin the blame for the response on local law enforcement officials when really, others should also be held accountable, including Texas Senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz. I can't believe I'm about to defend Ted Cruz or even Cornyn for that matter, but neither senator was at Robb Elementary during the shooting on May 24th. So basically, nearly a month after the shooting, there's a lot of finger-pointing going on. McLaughlin, who says he's uninterested in running for another term as an elected official, has nothing to lose. But if McLaughlin looks or sounds familiar to you, it might be because one day after the shooting, when Beto O'Rourke interrupted a press conference with Texas Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and others asking for accountability, Don McLaughlin called him, quote, a sick son of a bitch. Now, at the root of all this, though, is the gun. It's the shooter and the fact that he had access to a gun. And to that end, a bipartisan gun bill has passed its first vote in the Senate, with 64 senators voting for the bill and 34 voting against it. In the words of Chuck Schumer, this bipartisan gun safety legislation is progress and will save lives. While it is not everything we want, this legislation is urgently needed. So, progress. It's not everything, but it is a significant step forward in a debate that has crippled Congress and divided our nation. And while it isn't everything, and while I know we're impatient about progress because, let's be real, patience is a privilege, this bill, if nothing else, is a Republican concession that the majority of Americans do, in fact, support common sense gun laws. Also, I just went to a town hall here in Houston with Beto O'Rourke, and a big topic of conversation was gun violence in Texas. Santa Fe High School isn't far from where I live. It's a few exits down the freeway from me. Rhonda Hart was at the town hall meeting. She was sitting right in front of me. If you don't know who Rhonda Hart is, she's a mother who lost her daughter in the Santa Fe shooting. She has since written the Kimberly Vaughn Firearms Safe Storage Act, named after her daughter, which has just passed in the U.S. House. Things are happening. They're happening much, much more slowly than any of us would like, but they are happening.